to Chicago, nigga.
Urban Talk TV, man. Y'all know what the fuck going on. We at the fucking building. Me and my motherfucking brother, Ghost Rider.
That big old deal, man. Y'all already know it's Urban Talk back in the mix, man. Y'all know how we coming.
We back in the mix, and y'all know how we doing it. You feel me? We got another one, man. We're gonna let everybody tune in on tap in.
Y'all
Put the what's the name
on
on your shit?
What?
Put the what's the name on your shit too?
What you put on now?
It's Control. She'll be able to just. You see the movement and shit?
Controller, man. Nah, I can't see none of that.
Oh yeah, you can't see it? It's most definitely on there.
What?
Add channel. I can add
DJ Corner.
Who's the add channel? That's about it.
Where everybody at, man? Let's do it. Yeah.
Y'all
do
coming.
it.
How y'all coming? Hop in.
Hop in. Share. Sharing this goddamn camera. Like my auntie camera. You know we never stand. Yeah. Niggas, they delaying. The niggas, they ain't playing. Drop a motherfucker 100 if y'all fucking with the boys today. Talking about that boy Dizzy Durk, man. He might be coming home. I think, man, we gonna get into it. Before we get into it, we gonna let some more people hop up in this joint, so we could go and knock it out.
Yes,
Let us know
y'all
how like our new setup.
Urban
Y'all like
fucking talk.
Let us know how y'all like our new setup, man. How we doing? How we coming? Where everybody at, man?
Chicago, nigga.
Y'all coming on this little Tuesday evening.
Let's do it. We let people pop in before we get started. We're gonna let about 4 people pop in. About 3, 4 people pop in. Then we can get it started, man. I don't want nobody missing out.
I can't even see who popping in.
Y'all with it, share it, sharing this camera, man.
Yes.
Before we get started, man, make sure y'all hit that like button. If y'all on YouTube, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. You know what it is. Follow us on Instagram, all platforms, TikTok, Snapchat, everything. What you see is what you get. So that's our names on every platform. BG, of course. Y'all want to find out anything DJ and podcast, DJ Corner for sure.
This Chicago, nigga.
Yeah, man, they say that boy Durk might be coming home, y'all. Think. Y'all think, man?
You gotta fight this, man.
Yo, Smirky might be coming home, man.
He got the goddamn bread. He can fight this. Yeah.
Say, yo, Smirky, what y'all think? Y'all think the lawyer's gonna do it?
Nah, motherfucker worried about that number 2. What was that the co-conspirator number 2?
They say well, we're gonna get into that, but they say he you feel me? He supposed to supposedly they caught him up lying or something. They caught him up lying.
No, they on there. No, they on there.
Yeah, they said they caught him up lying. Feel me?
I hope motherfuckers wasn't out there doing bad shit like that on their own time.
Oh yeah, in the dough. So, make sure y'all share. We finna get into it, though. We finna get into it, man. Most definitely finna get into it. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Most definitely finna get into that business. Shout out to Costo. He be, you know, turning up on the delivery side.
Oh yeah. He
We're
definitely
gonna give it to Trap Lord.
no.
He coming up on the delivery side.
All the information.
Yeah, y'all, we finna get into this, man. We finna get into it. You feel me? Shout out Trap Lord Ross, though, y'all. We're gonna shout out Trap Lord Ross in the video. He be, I don't know how they be doing it, but he be getting a whole
I'm telling you for a
lot of
fact,
shit.
100,000%. If it's not true, if I'm lying, I'm dying. That's just my opinion. A lot of people think that Lil Durk is going to beat this, and one of those people is my guy, Seti Nash. Shout out to Seti Nash. He just posted this new paperwork on his story on Instagram, and on his as a post on Instagram, and he believes that he's been saying since the very beginning that Durk is going to go free. Now, I want to be very fair. I want to present you his opinion on this first, and then I'm going to go through the paperwork and explain why I personally... I'm not entirely convinced that he is good, but I do feel like this new...
You said what?
You hear double time. You can hear it coming out the speaker too.
New piece of paperwork is make or break, and we might see things start to go in a positive direction for Durk if, and that's a big, fat, enormous 400-pounder if, the government doesn't clap back in a powerful way. But if the government does clap back in a way that I think they might clap back, it will be over for Lil Durk, and he will be fully cooked like a rotisserie chicken. I'm not going to lie, okay? So there's a lot of nuance to this, and it all comes down to quite literally the last couple of lines of this paperwork. So I'm going to go through the entire thing. I've just read the entire 11-page document. I've made notes on everything. I'm going to break it all down for you. But before we get to that, let's look at what Seti had to say about the situation.
The only person that ain't signed the OTF that been telling y'all from day one Durk finna be found innocent. Take a look. PW1 first claimed that there was no bounty, that he did not commit the murder for money. He did it under duress to magically change his story. They realized what he was saying was cap, probably when the SSI removed the allegation that Diddy actually paid the bounty. So here you say right here, if that doubt eliminating discovery existed, the government would certainly have cited to it in its oppression, yet it does not. Indeed, nowhere does the discovery set forth anything resembling a fixed or coherent theory of the time, place, and circumstances of the bounty, allegations, or at the direction of the allegations. On the contrary, the discovery reveals government witnesses who are consistently changing their stories. PW1, for example, has asserted that there was no bounty at all, that he did not agree to murder TB for monetary gain, and that he did so under duress. But as one might expect, in a murder for hire prosecution predicated on the existence of...
And that's all you really need, bro, is like corroboration from, well, the main witness, bro. If he get caught lying or anything, first off, bro, listen, anybody that's like with felons and felonies and shit like that, bro, is incredible anyway on the stand, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if they found one flaw in the man's shit, bro, his ass over. You feel me? The 80s just only need one flaw.
a bounty, he rises to meet the occasion. In one government proffer session, PW1 recounts how Mr. Wilson allegedly stayed behind in Los Angeles after the other participants flew out in order to collect the bounty money for distribution. PW1's story is, however, flatly contradicted by the objective evidence. The government's realization that PW1 lied here is likely why, between the first superseding indictment and the second superseding indictment, it deleted language alleging that Mr. Wilson paid the bounty after SR's homicide. See docket number 27, page 6 at 9, when the government's witnesses are constantly changing their stories about crucial facts as the discovery catalogs here. Mr. Banks' defense must take aim at a moving target that is fundamentally unfair. Yeah, I'm going to drop the full entire thing on my channel, but we're going to do that tomorrow. Let the bloggers have it. I'm always breaking news. Shout out to Durk all day. Shout out to Lil Bro. Do your thing. Crazy shit.
For LLC next to your business name, say hello. Just go to their...
Hey.
So Seti said, I'm going to let the bloggers have it. I appreciate the alley-oop once again from Seti Nash. I wonder why he's not jumping on this immediately. Does he feel like he needs somebody else to come in and maybe put a little bit more context to this? Or maybe he's just tired this evening. I don't know, okay? But I personally saw this. I thought it was very interesting. I pulled up the paperwork myself. I read through the entire thing. I made notes on absolutely everything. And I do think there's some very nuanced details that he missed. And I do think that if we get this all broken down page by page, I'm going to explain to you why this really is make or break. And I don't think this is necessarily the outright victory that it's being portrayed as. But I do think this is like an ultimatum being left, okay? They're basically saying, you ain't got nothing, show us what you got. And if they come back and show them exactly what they have, and it fills in all the gaps that Durk is calling out, he's cooked. It's over with, right? They've put together a puzzle, and there's a few pieces missing. They're saying, if you ain't got these pieces, you ain't going to finish this puzzle, and it's all or nothing. But if they come through and they say, what do you think of this piece? What do you think of this piece? And they slot it in these perfectly puzzled, Dirk-shaped sized holes, pause. It's going to be over with, all right? So let me break it down to you. I've got it here. I've broken down all of the pages and read through the whole thing. But basically, this is Durk Banks's reply in support of his motion to dismiss the entire indictment as a result of vagueness, or in the alternative for a bill of particulars. Now, basically, we're going to go full circle, and at the very end of this paperwork, it's basically going to make it very clear that they're asking the government, say, either dismiss the entire indictment or tell us what's missing. And if, this is what I say, this is a Hail Mary pass, because if they actually come back with what's missing, he's cooked, it's very unlikely that they're just going to dismiss it. And there's maybe a small chance that they come back with something flimsy, but I'm just honestly not feeling like it's necessarily the biggest win for Durk. But look, when you get into the details, I'm going to break this down, okay? So look, here basically, what we're going to see on this page is Durk's lawyers are basically arguing that the indictment is vague because it doesn't say what the bounty that was on Quando Rondo's head is. Again, there's a lot of talk, and I think there's going to be a lot of reaction from Durk meat riders that are basically going to be like, look, see, like, there ain't no bounty, there's nothing, they ain't got nothing on him. No, it's not they ain't got nothing on him. They explained very clearly, we don't want to show you some of these things because it's going to compromise our witnesses. It's going to put people's families, it's going to put people's lives in danger. Okay. But Durk's given them an ultimatum, and they probably are going to have to come back. Okay. But what's interesting here is it basically says, okay, that Durk basically, they wanted to clarify very specific things, two specific things: the alleged bounty and the pervasive yet vague at the direction of accusations. They're saying the two main things that you need to prove that this was a murder for hire was the alleged bounty, what was the hiring, what was the pay, you know, if this was a LinkedIn job description, what's the pay and benefits looking like, okay? And then the at the direction of accusations. If you're going to say that you done the murder for hire and you hired me for a specific bounty, you got to tell me what the instructions were. Again, if you want to go back to the LinkedIn example, it's like,
Yeah, first off, for a murder for hire, you got to know the amount the man sent, when it was sent, when it was, you know what I'm saying, it was done. They want to know, goddamn it, how many bills he sent it, goddamn it, how he sent the Zelle, all type of shit, gang. What time he sent it. They want FBI, open up. They want all, bro, listen. They gonna need all this to book him on this, bro. The federal. They're gonna need all this.
what was the job description? What was the instructions given? But basically, Durk's lawyers are saying, all right, they failed to do so. The opposition recites at great length details in the indictment that are irrelevant to the instant motion. It then states in a conclusory fashion. My bad, man, my bad. It states in a conclusory fashion that the discovery fills in any missing pieces on essential elements without explaining how or laying a record for the court to decide whether that's true. They've already gone back and forth about these points, but what basically the government said is like, it's very obvious, we've got all of these things from this witness, we've got other things, we don't need his iCloud, we've got other people's messages, we've got messages that Durk has probably sent to other people and been received. Everything, you've got everything you need. We don't need to prove anything else. They're basically clapping back and saying, you guys saying that you already gave us everything that we got in discovery is enough, is cap. Whether or not that's going to be accepted by the judge, whether or not the prosecution are going to clap back with more information, I don't know at this stage. But okay, it's kind of a little bit spicy, okay? And basically, like, this idea that if you don't have these things, you're not going to be able to move forward. Like, the judge might actually clap back and say, nah, you guys have actually been given enough information. We do need to protect the information of the witnesses, and I'm going to allow it to continue to be vague. Now, what we end up seeing later on in line 10 is it basically, Durk's lawyers basically suggest that they're not allowing Durk to see the evidence that he's up against before trial, and that's not fair. It says the court should see through this smokescreen and decline to blindly take the government's word that the discovery puts Mr. Banks on constitutionally sufficient notice. Without the court's intervention, this vague indictment becomes a blank check that the government has written to itself, allowing Mr. Banks' prosecution on facts that were not presented to the grand jury that would take him by surprise at trial, and are continually shifting as government cooperators change their stories. And they're basically going to go on to make some very harsh points to suggest that the cooperating witness keeps changing their story, but I'm going to explain why that is kind of a little bit of a stretch, and I think people are jumping the gun a little bit in my personal opine. Okay, so it goes on to explain over here in sort of line 20. Okay, it basically says that the indictment doesn't state where, when, or why the bounty was placed, and this is essential to a murder for hire charge. It says at the outset, okay, it's important to clarify what Mr. Banks is and is not arguing in this motion. In his motion, Mr. Banks takes issue with only two deficiencies in the indictment. The first is that the indictment fails to allege the essential facts with a reasonable particularity of time, place, and circumstances related to the alleged bounty that's an element of the murder for hire charge. It goes on to say in a footnote, it alleges only that at some point in the nearly 2-year time frame between November 6, 2020 and August 22, 2022, the death of King Von and the murder of Savia Robinson, Mr. Banks made clear.
But this is the coincidence about the whole thing, bro. This how the feds looking at it. But you know what I'm saying? The feds looking at it like, it ain't a coincidence that we caught OTF members trying to shoot this man at the King, you know what I'm saying? One of his people done shot y'all people. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like they looking at it like, ain't somebody going, now, Durk might not go to jail for the simple fact, bro, he in jail, but he might not go down because he wasn't there. They got to prove that he sent the money. Like, they got to prove he said, hey, man, here go the money to go kill him right now. You see what I'm saying? They got to prove that. But somebody going to jail for this shit, it ain't going to be Durk.
Encoded language to defendant.
It might not, I don't know, though. Like I say, I don't know. The feds play crazy, folks.
Real crazy.
In the witness, if they find any line of witnesses,
Wilson and co-conspirators 2, 4, and 5, and others, that he would pay a bounty or monetary reward and pay money and lucrative music opportunities to anyone that took part in the killing of Taekwon Bowman. What's really dumb about this and why people are thinking this is such a gotcha is basically Durk's lawyers are saying, look, you haven't said when, where, or why this bounty was offered. Now, I don't know what that bounty was. They're saying it was money and lucrative music opportunities. Whether or not the government are going to clap back and say, there you go, Wednesday the 5th of November 2021, Durk group text the whole of OTF and said, I'm only giving a verse to people that are shooting shots at Quando Rondo. You cooked, you're done. But if the government can't actually come back with anything at all, at the very least they're needing to come back with a witness that's going to explain to them, like, yo, I basically was told, and there's more information from a witness that I believe was redacted previously that's actually available in this. But if a confidential witness says, yo, look, Durk basically told the guys that, like, it's 20 bags, 20 grand if you can shoot shots at Quando, 50 if you kill him, and also you get a verse. That's not the best. That's not as good as a text message from Durk saying, I've got verses for anyone that tries to kill Quando, but it's still something, and it's still better than what a lot of people are kind of deriding and saying, like, yeah, they got nothing on him. Now, they got something on him. We just don't know what it is yet. And if the government clap back and provide the who, what, where, the time, place, and circumstances of this, they're basically saying it's so vague. It alleges only that at some point.
And one thing you got to think about too, bro. One thing you got to think about is, these people, gang, like, they came and got you, bro. Some made them come get your ass. They can't just like, oh, we're gonna get Durk because somebody snitching somebody said, either somebody lied and try to get themselves out of it, or somebody said, "Yeah, man, he set it up, man. He told us he paid." You know what I'm saying? That's like it's like, bro, they got you. The feds got you, gang. So it's like
In the nearly
they ain't gonna
2-year
let
time
you
frame
go.
between November 6th and August 22nd, they might come back with 100 instances of Durk offering up money and verses and career opportunities and ranking the gang for killing Quando Rondo. You know, they're saying, oh, at some point they might offer a whole bunch, they might offer one, but if they can't offer any, I would agree that this isn't necessarily a strong enough case to try, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Now, as we go on to the next page, what we end up seeing quite interestingly is basically Durk doesn't actually argue about any of the other vagueness in the case, and I feel like, I'm not going to lie, a lot of people were saying when the other guys in the case were trying to like sever their ties with Durk and have their cases separated, people were saying, oh, they're throwing Durk under the bus. Well, I'm not going to lie, like a little bit of me personally feels like maybe in a way this is kind of throwing the other guys under the bus, right? Because I mean, I don't want to go as far as to say it's telling on them, because it's really not. But what I feel like it is doing is it's basically saying, here, look, on line 5, it says, Mr. Banks, all right. Oh, let me read the first line, actually. It says, the second part is it fails to allege the essential facts about the directions that Mr. Banks is alleged to have given in furtherance of counts 3 through 5. Directions that are his only alleged link to crimes carried out by others in his absence. Doesn't say... It says alleged links to... It doesn't even say alleged links to alleged crimes. It says that's his only alleged links to crimes carried out by others in his absence. Kind of throwing those guys under the... I'm not going to lie. Kind of throwing those guys under the bus. Saying, yeah...
Bro, you're done already?
Yeah, bro.
How?
I hired Motion to hire AI employees.
AI.
Them guys... Crimes carried out. He wasn't there. Them crimes that really happened. And it says Mr. Banks argues vagueness on these 2 topics only. And then it basically goes on to say Mr. Banks doesn't argue that the indictment is fatally vague in any other way. It's basically saying with respect to the motive for Tyquan Bowman's murder, the date, time, circumstances of the stalking, gun possession, and the murder of Savia Robinson, what facility in interstate commerce was used, or the overt acts necessary to support a conspiracy charge. His lawyer's basically saying, yo, them boys all cooked. But Durk, don't put it on Durk. You can't prove that Durk's tied in, but it's looking bad. Kind of throwing them guys under the bus, if I'm completely honest with you. Now, from here, it basically goes on to essentially claim, like Durk's lawyers basically claim that the government wants to act like including those details kind of makes the murder for hire charge valid across the board. And they're kind of like arguing with this fact. So let me just break it down so you understand. It says, yet the government wants the court to find that the inclusion of details on these other matters renders the indictment valid across the board. So they're basically saying the government is trying to suggest that including these details that cook everybody else but Durk, they're trying to say that the indictment is valid across the board on Durk, but it's not. But still, you're still kind of throwing the other guys under the bus. And I get it. You got to throw guys under the bus sometimes. It's like, yeah, them guys is cooked, but murder, you got it. Murder for hire, whoa, you ain't got the evidence for that. That's what they're trying to do here. It says its opposition's introduction cites the indictment's robust allegations about the motive for the murder, details about how defendants stalked the murder victim's vehicle for hours leading up to the killing, including photos, and details about each defendant's role in the murder plot. Again, you're throwing them under the bus saying they're cooked. It says no mention of the robustness of the bounty or at direction of allegations. So he's saying, look, you got them guys bang to rights. You got pictures of them. You got stalking chart. Yeah, great. But come on, man. Murder for hire on Durk. You ain't proven that, okay? And I would agree that probably is currently the most flimsy part of the case, the hardest to prove, but they have brought these charges, and I feel like they are going to have more stuff to bring. Now, what ends up being said next is Durk's lawyers basically say that the government can't give up the bounty info because it's not there. And I think that might be a little bit of a reach. There's no mention of the robustness of the bounty or at direction of allegations. Government opposition at 1 over the next 4 pages. It regurgitates all of the indictment's allegations, including those that do not matter here in great detail. 1 to 4, of course, the government can cite no robust allegation, let alone a bare bones time, place, or circumstance about a bounty being offered or accepted, or the directions Mr. Banks is alleged to have given his purported co-conspirators. The reason for that omission is simple: the indictment contains none. Now, what I think is interesting is they're basically trying to say that, like, you know, the state are wrong for saying that the indictment has all of that stuff. We don't need to give you anything else. You've already been given everything at discovery. But you notice it doesn't say that, you know, it didn't happen or that it's not possible. It's saying that the indictment doesn't contain it. And they're basically saying you can't try and add it in later on. You got to give it to us before trial so we can prepare for it. And we're going to see more stuff kind of to that effect as it goes on. There's some more stuff that's kind of interesting later on, right? It goes on to kind of talk about some of the background about the bounty and what's necessary to kind of reach the constitutional burden of actually proving this happened. But what's interesting is it basically goes on to say, here the superseding indictment includes the elements of the offences, the date and place of the murder, the motive, participants, and actions they took leading up to, including the murder, but there's no missing factual allegation that precludes the finding of criminality. And later it argues that it's enough that the superseding indictment names with particularity the date and place of the murder, the participants, the motive, and 27 overt acts describing the actions leading up to the murder, as well as the murder itself. The indictment could contain 1,000 alleged overt acts, but if it's missing any essential facts giving rise to the charges, murder for hire, it fails nonetheless. Just like it names the date and place of the murder, it should name the date and place of the bounty offer. Now, this is probably one of the most effective arguments that I think Durk's lawyers have made to date. I feel like stuff like this is possibly why people are getting charged up, feeling like, yo, he's going to beat this, like he's got such a good chance. But again, it's like, that's all well and good saying you could have 1,000 overt acts, but if you don't have the date, time, and place of the bounty, then you can't put murder for hire charges on him. You've proved a bunch of random guys that have nothing to do with Durk did a murder, thrown him under the bus, but you haven't proved the bounty. That's all well and good until they hit you back with the information.
See, one thing you can't say they random guys. It's a coincidence, gang. Like, it's a coincidence, bro. Like, y'all into it, and the niggas, I ain't gonna say they into it, but like, you know how they go.
Goddammit, they gotta do their homework.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they ain't, before they came get you, they did it. They sat back, watched, like, okay, woo, let's trail where they was coming from. All they did was trail. Listen, this is how the feds got these niggas. All they did, they didn't have to worry about. All they had to do is watch the car. Watch the tapes of where the truck, where they got hit up at, came from. Oh, yeah, let me watch and see where he came from. Reverse. Ooh. Okay, he came from over here. Then he watched where that other white car, wherever white car, came from, tracked the cars. Just like they did with the Durk murder, they tracked the cars, boy.
And they had a rental. They had a rental out there, and when they went out there.
That's what I'm saying. That shit ain't no
Proven that the bounty happened, okay? It's all good just a week ago. If they clap back in the next couple of days and say, okay, this is the day he made the bounty and he said this guy was going to get on the song and there he is on Loyal Bros 2. Now, I'm just saying that's a little guess or it might have something to do with. But, like, you're going to be cooked. This sounds great now before the other side have had an opportunity to respond. But, like, if they clap back and they fill in all these gaps, he's going to be cooked, okay? So after this, it basically goes on to say that the bounty and the directions are the only link between Durk and the murder. I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to explain to you why this is wishful thinking, because there are actually other things, and people have tried to lie and say these aren't true when they are actually true. It says, the government's focus on non-pertinent details is a distraction. The presence of these details does not make up for the indictment's failure to provide a reasonable particularity of time, place, and circumstances where it matters, on the alleged bounty offer that's an essential element of the murder for hire charges, and on directions that are the only alleged link between Mr. Banks and the other charged with crimes. As to those two critical subject matters, the indictment is void of reasonable particularity of time, place, and circumstances. So let me break this down to you and explain to you why that actually is potentially nonsense. Because they're basically saying, look, all right, they've already thrown these guys under the bus. They've said, yeah, it's looking like they did that murder. You got all this evidence, this peak, but none of that's on Durk. They're saying that the bounty offer, you need to give time, place, and when, where, and how was the offer of the bounty offered. And they're basically saying that's the essential element for murder for hire. And on the directions, where are the directions? When, where, how did Durk tell the people to do stuff? That's the only alleged link between Durk and the other charged in the crimes.
If you or a loved one are sexually abused at these Illinois youth facilities or
federal, bro, like, you know this shit.
Do you think he maybe gave some directions when he was flying on?
Feds, bro.
But a
But I'm
motherfucker
pretty
come with enough hearsay, fam. They'll damn near go with that too, also, fam.
that's what I'm saying. Look, the
Go
hearsay.
with the hearsay, fam. You got a couple motherfuckers coming with that hearsay. You still might end up on that chopping block, fam.
On a
And
private
they
jet
could
with
be
one of the
lying like
guys that was
a
organising the whole thing to LA randomly. And he just happened to be in LA while the hit was going down. A lot of people have got on my case because I said I thought it was a smoking gun that Durk was on a private jet to Los Angeles. I couldn't believe it, right? When I saw the news of Quando screaming no when I saw the news of Quando screaming no, I knew immediately that's Lil Durk's work because I know you've been getting told to slide for Von. I would have never ever in a million years guessed at the time. Oh yeah, I bet Lil Durk was just in LA hanging out when this hit went down. I couldn't believe it, all right? And I've already addressed this in a previous video. People on Reddit talking about, oh no, that's not true. Durk wasn't in LA. Yes, he was. He flew in on a private jet. It is what it is. Now, look, there is original paperwork. I haven't got time to go and pull up other paperwork on this, just because I want to get really just focused on the new paperwork. But, like, everybody knows, okay, Lil Durk was with OTF Vonnie on the private jet on the same day the hitman traveled from Chicago to Cali. Durk made the journey, accompanied by Vonnie, who was a co-conspirator.
Yeah. I didn't know you was on the jet, man. They got you on the jet,
clearance
man.
to get up in the sky and everything, boy.
How they get you on the
just
jet?
get in the jet, go in the air, and don't nobody know you up there. That ain't gonna happen.
He took the side.
That's why I thought it happened. Shit, what are you talking about? I thought that's why it was private.
They still got to know you up there flying. What if some shit finna go down, fam? What if it's finna be storm? They got to know in the air.
So who the fuck got to do you tell
the motherfucking what is they called, man? You know when they be like what they be saying, man? When they be calling to the people, man. When they be the pilots, when they be calling, is it clear? Can I land? Yeah, I'm in coordinates. Woo, the people who taking the coordinates and know where you at, fam.
What if they got a private deck? They land in their own
You're
private jet.
don't mean that you can't. Don't nobody know you in the air flying, fam.
But how?
You're privately inside with no one else. You're private flying. But they gotta know that this jet is in the air, fam.
Insane, man. So what if I got my own motherfucking jet?
What if you got your own jet?
Yes, and I got my own.
You flying
what's the name? While I landed.
What do you know? Is radars and signals and everything that could pick anything.
What they got to do with me?
You gotta know you. They gotta know you up there, fam.
So you mean tell me they
so remember Kobe and his daughter flew private to the game, right? And they told him don't go up there, fam. Remember?
He wasn't alone.
It doesn't matter. It was private. They was flying privately, but they got to know you in the air. Is you private because it's yours, and you private. Ain't nobody in there but you.
They didn't know it was him until it was crash. Everybody in that before crash.
Well, motherfuckers told him don't even get up there in the first place.
But still, though. But I'm saying,
they gotta advise you through weather and everything. You can't. You're not just flying nothing up there. Then don't nobody know you in the air, fam.
And he wasn't on no jet, nigga. Kobe Bryant.
Helicopter, jet, this all shit all the same, fam.
Private jet means goddamn. Private jet is goddamn it. This a private plane, bro. This ain't no private jet, gang.
Private to who?
A private jet. A private. This is a private plane, bro. It's a plane. Look at it.
Don't you see the little radars and shit that be picking up shit that's flying in the thing, and they know when shit come flying? How you private and they see you flying? What makes it so private? And they see you can't go to stealth mode and be invisible up there.
You gotta look at that one.
Your ass is flying and they can see this, fam.
I'm just saying, okay, you flying. Okay, cool. What I'm saying is, how they know you just they just see it in the air and say, "Oh, that's Durk."
No, they're tracking the plane. Like they don't know it's you, but they're just like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, let's say a motherfucker did their homework after it landed. It had to land somewhere. All right, it landed at private strip. Woo woo. All right, cool. We could go get that info. Hey, Joe, yeah, that jet came and landed at 7:37, fam. Whose was it? We need to know. Oh man, yeah, that was Mr. Banks. They landed and said, "Yep, he had his private pilot," and they got to tell him. Don't you think they got to say, "No, oh, we can't reveal that. We can't give you that information. That's private."
What if they was watching them?
That mean they was in the air with him if they watching them. They right behind them.
Okay, because you got to look. How they even know Durk came on a private jet? How the feds know this? How did because what I'm saying is, how they know he was on with OTF Vonnie?
Somebody federal around that motherfucker found. Somebody federal.
That's what I'm saying.
Somebody in his circle is federal.
Of actions purchasing ski masks for the intended shooters, using credit cards in Durk's names to pay for the hotel and accommodations for the rest. This sequence of events underscores the level of planning and cooperation. So when you lock Cap and you say, "Oh, there's no bounty," where are the directions? These are the only alleged link between Durk and the others charged. Well, yeah, the only alleged link, apart from the fact you guys are on a private jet going to LA together. Like, what did you chat about on the jet? What was going on the jet? Would Vonnie have been able to book a private jet on his own, on his salary of working as well? I guess like a personal assistant for OTF? Absolutely not. Cap. Okay, these guys in OTF, little bit of disrespect, but not really. But like these guys in OTF, nobody's getting private jet money other than Durk. Nobody's getting to California like that on a private jet other than Durk. I don't know if maybe guys in OTF do have a little bit of their own money, but if dudes are booking it on Durk's credit card, purchasing ski masks,
that's the crazy part, bro.
So everyone going, like, "Oh my god, Durk's gonna beat this."
That's what I'm saying.
You couldn't get no cash. You could get no cash to go back. None of this.
How the fuck is these niggas? They using all his credit cards to buy all the shit. Like it's like they wanted to get them smoked or some shit. It's like they wanted to get them and him smoked.
Yeah, they was looking forward to it.
You bad, listen. Merrill, listen. You gotta be the most dumbest motherfuckers in the world, gang. No cap, gang. Like
they ain't never watched them shows. You know how to them cold case shows. They catch up a fucking 30 years later. Yeah, we caught you. You used this credit card back in 1993. Up and got that woo woo, and that's how we knew it was you. What are you talking about,
bro? I'm talking
about shovels. You bought tape. We know you buried that body. Fuck wrong with you.
No disrespect, all right? Except Nash, my guy. But it's like when they're saying, "Oh, that's the only link between Durk and the others charged." No, it's not. The other link, you're on a jet together going to LA. What, just for a vacation and someone just got killed? It just so happened this went down. And what did you guys talk about? You're going to say Durk had no idea and then they linked up after the hit. And what, did they fly back on the jet as well? Did they chat about anything? Did they talk about, oh, the most popping hip-hop news story right now is Quando Rondo screaming no on the news? Like, that's coincidence. And we just happen to be in LA. So, yeah, I'm personally not buying it. I'm personally not buying this whole argument that, like, man, like, I'm Durk gonna beat it. Like, you know, there it is. There's the only alleged link. Cap. Sorry, I'm gonna stop doing that because it just feels good to just like feel like I can just back up nonsense with facts. But anyway, as this kind of goes on, basically it'll say outright that Durk has the right to know the time, place, and circumstances of the transaction that led to the murder for hire charge. And I actually agree. I feel like the state should have put this forward. Their argument was that we're trying to protect witnesses' anonymity. We want to protect the jury. We want to protect the family of the people that are cooperating. And that is valid. I personally believe in transparency of information generally. And I feel like they should clap back and just put everything that they have on the table. Let Durk have a very this is me being throwing some bail to Durk. I think the state should give every bit of evidence that they have up. Let everybody know, let everybody publicly know, so that there's no more danger to the community for these OTF members that have been terrorizing the community. So we all know what they're on. We all know how they're communicating, how they're moving, how they're behaving, how they function, so that we can be on the lookout for any more of this dangerous, murderous behavior that's allegedly been taking place. But also so that let's let Durk have a full picture of exactly what they've got on him so that he can create his defense. I think that's only fair as well, okay? And I do think that that's why this is kind of like a bit of a Hail Mary, because it's like, okay, if the government can actually if the government don't clap back and give Durk some of these things he's asking for, then I'll throw my hands up and say, okay, maybe the case wasn't as strong as it looked to begin with. And that's just facts, okay? So, as I say, right, it says even the government has to admit A defendant is entitled to know the time, place, and circumstances of a transaction giving rise to the charge, but the government nonetheless argues that the indictment here suffices because the information the defendant requests, the specific language defendant used in ordering a bounty and directing his co-conspirators are not operative or central facts to the case. Okay? And basically the information sought is the words he used in offering a reward to the killers of his rival, or in giving directions to others, and not elements of the offense. The information the defendant seeks is merely the details of acts in furtherance of the conspiracy. And then it says, hang on a sec, it says that the bounty offer, however, is a necessary transaction giving rise to a murder for hire charge. And basically it says, you know, in prosecution for this charge, you need to basically receive a promise or agreement to pay something of a pecuniary value as consideration for murder. It's an essential element of the offense. And I actually agree with that. Okay, for this to be a murder for hire charge, you need to offer something in exchange. It's not a conspiracy to murder charge, it's a murder for hire charge. Now, I wonder if they just went on, oh, he booked a private jet so everybody could just get over there and do a murder, but he didn't offer them money in exchange for the murder. That might be conspiracy to murder, because you part of the conspiracy. You saying, yo, like, I'm one of your guys is like, yo, I would totally kill Quando Rondo, but I'm stuck in Chicago and I'm broke right now. And if you pipe up and say, well, look, I'm trying to see that happen, let me gas up the private jet because I can afford that, and I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna get you guys plane tickets. I'm gonna gas up the private jet, and a guy's gonna come meet me. We're all gonna fly to LA, and he's gonna hop off and go buy you guys ski masks. So I'm gonna kick back and watch the news. That's definitely a conspiracy, but yeah, that's fair. That might not necessarily constitute a murder for hire. But like, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. It's like,
if you're a producer who hates AI, this plugin might change your mind. This is reimagining co-producer. You can take any...
They ain't got shit on the nigga.
All the state have to do is clap back and go, yeah, sure. All right. DD got given a verse on Loyal Bros 2 in exchange for taking part in the hit. Boom, done, finished, over with. If you show me any text message, any tweet, just any communication where Durk's basically saying, yo, get DD on Loyal Bros 2, man, because he really put in work with that Quando hit. Cooked, finished. And it's not that hard. People are like, what evidence have they got on Durk? Shit tons of evidence. And then like a piece of something like that, cooked, charbroiled, man. Okay, so what we end up seeing here on page 6, right? Basically, they're going to explain, because didn't Durk participate in the stalking or killing personally, his role being remote, okay, his role being remote, not actually being there and being involved in the murder, but remotely, you know, work from homing, if you will, on this murder for hire. They're saying it's only proven by the directions that he gave, which the government hasn't provided. Okay, so set aside the bounty. They're trying to say if Durk's involved in this, he needed to have directed people and told people what to do and called shots. And they're basically saying the government hasn't provided this. It can't be true. And once again, I just want to say the private jet, I think, is another smoking gun in this. Okay, because they're saying he didn't participate in the stalking or killing himself. Look, it says here. And because Mr. Banks did not himself stalk anybody, shoot anybody, possess a gun in furtherance of that stalking, the means and manner of his alleged remote participation, i.e. the directions he allegedly gave others, are essential to the case against him on counts 3, 4, 5. Those directions are in fact the only transactions giving rise to those charges as it relates to Mr. Banks. Mr. Banks is entitled to know the government's essential theory, the who, what, where, when, and how on these essential points. I wonder if one of the wheres is going to be on a private jet, and if the when is going to be during that private jet flight to LA, and the how is going to be enabled by private jet travel, and the who is going to be all the guys that were at the scene shooting at Quando Rondo, and the what being go kill Quando Rondo and slide for Von. I wonder, because if the state clap back with all that stuff filled in, it's over with. Okay, so after this, Durk's lawyers basically just make it very clear, okay, they want to get the who, what, when, where, and how, okay, and what's really interesting is they give a great example. They compare it to a wire fraud case, and I think this is a kind of helpful way of understanding it, but also I feel like it's kind of not really enough to really prove anything to me. So it says, the government obscures things when it argues that the words used themselves are not essential elements of the offense. Consider a charge that we more commonly see in federal court, wire fraud. Imagine an indictment that alleges the following. At some point between November 2020 and August of 2022, the defendant made material misrepresentations about investment opportunities to Wilson and others in order to cause them to part with certain valuable possessions and/or money. It would be beyond reasonable dispute that this language fails to put the defendant on notice of the charges against him. It does not enable him to prepare his defense, to assert that he never made statements at issue, that they were not false and that they were not material, or that they were not designed to cause victims to part with money or property, among many other potential defenses. It does not protect against double jeopardy in a subsequent prosecution. The government would argue that these other statements form the basis for the new wire fraud charge. What is more, it obliterates the important function of the grand jury and permits the government to shift the theory as the case progresses. Okay. I also agree with this. I actually agree with this because I feel like what they're saying is basically, look, you were supposed to submit your evidence to the grand jury and you're kind of changing the evidence. You're not giving it up. Now, the state is saying we're trying to protect the integrity of and safety of our witnesses and their families. Fair enough, but I think it's time for them to give up the information and let everybody know. I think the grand jury has probably seen stuff that's been redacted and protected from the public. Maybe they'll submit stuff and still redact it from the public. I think that would be a shame, but if that's what they got to do, that's what they got to do. But I do feel like, okay, fair enough. Durk, you do have a right to know exactly what the state think, where, when, and how the offer was made and the direction was made. But this isn't a wire fraud case, and the people's lives are at risk, their families' lives are at risk. So I do feel like this is definitely different. But it all depends what the government are going to clap back with. Okay, so now we get to page 7, and here they basically say that Durk doesn't actually want the actual details of the evidence. It says a bounty offer is essential to a murder for hire charge, as a material misrepresentation is to a wire fraud charge. And so they basically say that that's essential to the prosecution. It says, to be clear, Mr. Banks is not requesting the details of the evidence the government will present at trial, i.e. the specifics, documents, texts, emails, cell site location info, or recordings the government will introduce, or the names of the witnesses who will testify in support of the government's theory. Yeah, no shit, because they're trying to protect them from being murdered by wild, out-of-control OTF members. But it basically says Durk just wants only the basic theory. It wants to know the theory behind it. It wants to know what's the theory, okay? What's the coded language? And they use another really good example later on this page as well, which I thought was fascinating. It says, Durk is only requesting the government's basic theory, without which he cannot adequately prepare for trial. By way of example, let's consider Mr. Banks' request for the particulars of the coded language he's alleged to have used to offer the bounty for Quando's murder. The issue of so-called coded language will loom large at this trial, with the government arguing the jury should assign certain meanings to facially ambiguous language, and the defense contesting those interpretations. Okay, and it says here the government even intends to call an expert who will testify in support of its interpretation of various terms such as get back and slide. Now I'm gonna have a field day with that stuff. But anyway, it says let's imagine that Mr. Banks is kept in the dark before trial about what coded language he allegedly used to offer the bounty. Then at trial, the following hypothetical, which is completely fictitious, a government witness testifies that Mr. Banks told him the eagle has landed, and in certain neighborhoods in Chicago, the eagle has landed means the speaker is offering a bounty for murder. Having heard these words and this interpretation for just the first time at trial, the defense will be unprepared to effectively cross-examine the witness about the meaning of these words. The defense will have done no research, conducted no investigation, lined up no witnesses to rebut that interpretation. That is the definition of trial by surprise, and it's a primary danger posed by a vague indictment. Once again, I do agree. I think if the government is saying it's coded language, what is the coded language? What were the words used so that they can debate it, right? And if it turns out that the eagle has landed is the type of thing that they've used, I'll soften up my position. I'm not going to lie. I'll put my hands up and say I'm wrong. I'll say maybe I was wrong to say that Durk was cooked. But if they come back and they say the coded language is it's time for get back, it's get back gang time, it's get back season. We're smoking on him anyway.
Like, get back game though.
I want to see what that is. So I feel like it is only right that they request this get revealed. I think it would be right for the government to reveal this information. I think it's right for Durk to have a chance to prepare his defense at trial. So
that's stupid because they ain't even get back game. So that'd be down there like he's not even get back. He's Lamron from a whole different side. So
I do actually agree with that one. Now later on here on page 8, it basically says that they need to say when and where things happen and gives another good example of why not having this will basically put them at a disadvantage in court, okay? And it talks all about trial by surprise. This is a danger posed by a vague indictment. The defendant has not got a chance to actually properly look out for themselves. And here it kind of breaks down some backstory. It says, The same goes for the other information that Durk requests in a bill of particulars, including the date and location of the alleged bounty offer. The indictment lists no location of the alleged offer, and it alleges a nearly 2-year time frame in which the bounty offer could have occurred. If the defense hears for the first time at trial that the bounty offer was conveyed, for example, in a coffee shop in Chicago on January the 5th, 2021, they'll be scrambling to figure out whether Mr. Banks was even in Chicago in January 2021. There may be a witness who would have testified that Mr. Banks was actually in Atlanta at that time. But the defense will have been deprived of the opportunity to locate and call that witness. The Sixth Amendment guarantees Mr. Banks and all persons charged with crimes more notice than that. Once again, totally agree. I think that they need to make it very clear when this offer of a bounty was made. If they don't, I'm going to think that they got a flimsy argument, but I think it's likely they're going to clap back and they're going to drop a bombshell. I think the next paperwork from the government, they're going to go, all right, bet. Boom, 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 boom. Here's a bunch of offers. Here's a bunch of... If they don't, I'll throw my hands up and say, okay, the case was flimsy. But I was always under the understanding that they were going to have a lot of info in this one. So after this, okay, there's a bunch of other case law that's here that's not really that interesting, if I'm completely honest with you. But then on page 9, we're kind of getting to some of the final and really juicy bits. Section 3, it basically summarizes and says the info must not exist if the government haven't presented it when asked. And that is cap. It says, if that doubt-eliminating discovery existed, the government would certainly have cited it in its opposition. Now, that's not necessarily true because they're trying to protect the integrity of their witnesses and their safety. They've been trying to hold stuff, keep it close to their chest, because they said the OTF operates like the Mexican mafia and that they will ruthlessly kill anyone involved in this case and their families, all right? So they said, yeah, it does not. Indeed, nowhere does the discovery set forth anything resembling a fixed or coherent theory of the time, place, or circumstances of the bounty allegations or at the discretion of allegations. On the contrary, the discovery reveals government witnesses who are constantly changing their stories. Now, this is interesting because this is where they begin to accuse the snitch of lying, but I'm going to point out a very important detail here that kind of trashes this argument, in my opinion. In my humble, not trying to get sued, but also like keeping it very real with my audience, unlike a lot of other people commitment. Okay, it says, on the contrary, the discovery reveals government witnesses who are constantly changing their stories. PW1, for example, has asserted that there was no bounty at all. Now, what this bit is probably the juiciest thing in this video. They're going to clip this, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you don't skip this, all right? They're going to skip this. They are definitely going to skip this, right? It basically says, okay, they're changing they asserted there was no bounty at all and he did not agree to murder Quando Rondo for monetary gain, and he did so under duress. Hold that thought. So they're saying that the witness, all right, the witness has asserted there was no bounty at all and he didn't agree to murder Quando Rondo for monetary gain. He did it under duress. He did it out of pressure, out of fear. He was under pressure. But as one might expect in a murder for hire prosecution predicated on the existence...
Who is this saying this?
Don't say that. That be unknown. PL.
Of a bounty, he rises to meet the occasion. They're saying that he's changing his story to fit in with what the charges are. And then it says in one government proffer session, PW1 recounted how Mr. Wilson allegedly stayed behind in Los Angeles after the other participants flew out in order to collect the bounty money for their distribution. PW1's story is, however, flatly contradicted by the objective evidence. The government's realization that PW1 lied here is likely why, between the first superseding indictment and the second superseding indictment, it deleted language alleging that Mr. Wilson paid out the bounty after Savia Robinson's homicide. It says, when the government witnesses are constantly changing their stories about crucial facts, as the discovery catalogues here, Mr. Banks' defense must take aim at a moving target. That's fundamentally unfair. Now, this is juicy as hell, because this is one of the first insights unredacted that we've had into what these witnesses are saying. But there's going to be more coming, but I'm just going to explain to you why there's actually some cap in here. There's some cap in these raps, okay? Because they're basically saying, okay, the government witness is constantly changing his story. He said that there was no bounty at all. He didn't agree to murder for monetary gain. He did so under duress. Now, here's what they're forgetting, because, again, a lot of meat riders are taking this information and they're basically saying, oh, the witnesses are lying. It's all cap. The whole thing's thrown out. No. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's certainly cap. Just because this one person who is now snitching said, I didn't, and also, I believe from the language here, it's basically saying that confidential witness is one of the people that was there, the one unnamed person that was there shooting at Quando Rondo, because it says he didn't agree to murder him for monetary gain. He did so under duress. So he was involved in the murder, whoever this witness is. And what's really interesting is basically saying he did so under duress. Now, that's fine, okay, if he's then saying later on, oh, well, Mr. Wilson, had a bounty for distribution, this contradicted the objective evidence, and then basically, like, he did it under duress. But there's numerous people involved in this. So just because one person did it for duress, okay, doesn't mean another person didn't get paid. One person, well, I'm going to keep this very real, okay? One person could do the hit for money. One person could do the hit because they love Durk. One person could do the hit because they basically are scared of Durk and that they need to toe the line. They're doing it under duress. They think something will happen to their family if they're not on board. Maybe Durk's threatened them. Maybe they know what's going on with I think they're saying it was the same confidential witness that was riding around with Booney Mo going to kill O-Block members because they weren't sliding for Von. So one person could do it for money. One person could do it under duress. One person could do it for the love.
That's what I'm saying. And they were saying, like, Durk, these bloggers crazy to the motherfuckers. They said Durk was trying to kill O-Block members because they weren't sliding for Durk right. Some stupid ass shit they use it. It don't even make sense, bro. Like, that shit
another
retarded.
Person could just do it out of straight bloodlust because they want to catch bodies. Because there was a whole bunch of people in that car. So just because, and again, this is just my opinion, all right? But just because this paperwork says, well, this person said there was no bounty at all right? Where did it say that? Again, we're going to need to see the quote. But I wonder whether Durk's lawyers are kind of twisting this and saying, well, if he said he didn't agree to murder Quando for money, then there's no bounty at all. Not necessarily true. Durk could have put up the bounty. Durk could have put up the bounty, and some people would like, bro, I ain't got to do that for bread. Like, I'm sliding for Von for free. I'm down, or I'm scared for my life. They could go and tell the feds afterwards, oh, I was scared for my life. But really, at the time, they was like, bro, you don't need to pay me. I'm trying to catch, bro, killing Quando Rondo. That's a famous hat. That's an expensive hat. I'll do that for free. None of that necessarily means just because, like, let's say 3 out of the 4 people didn't do it for money, they did it for the love, and one of the people got paid and it was a bounty, or they got paid in the form of a verse. Hey, Didi, jump on this track on Loyal Bros 2.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation.
Murder for hire, still murder for hire. So I don't think this is the reverse smoking gun that people think it is. I think it's actually possible that they're reaching here. That's possible. I'm not saying absolutely true. This is just my opinion. Absolutely my opinion. This is not fact. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not qualified legally. I'm just a nerd with some glasses, basically doing some reading. So yeah, I think it's interesting. And now they're saying, oh well, Mr. Wilson allegedly stayed behind after the other participants flew out in order to collect the bounty money. Now, that isn't necessarily true. Where's the proof of that? It says this is contradicted by the objective evidence. Right. Okay, you're telling the state, oh, show us the evidence. Well, you show us the evidence then. Durk's team, show us the evidence. What are you saying? That everybody left and then Mr. Wilson, Didi stayed around to pay a bounty, but then they can prove that everybody had left the state? Are they saying that, oh, Durk left the state, but Didi was still there and the money wasn't distributed? If the reward for being part of this murder for hire is a verse on the new Durk album and it's musical opportunities, as the state have said, well, there ain't no bounty money for opportunity. There ain't no bounty money for distribution after this fact. So honestly, I feel like this looks really good, but I actually feel like substantially it's not as good as people are making it out to be. Now, after this, we basically see that Durk's lawyers are saying the government can't keep changing their story and picking the best version at trial. I sort of agree with this, but I also think that, like, I don't think the government is doing as bad as they're suggesting here. I don't think the government is picking whatever version of the story they want at trial. I think they're kind of just seeing some of the nonsense that Durk's lawyers are doing, and then they're basically just going, all right, forget it. I think they slipped up. They put the wrong evidence forward when they said, oh, Lil Durk used the audio of Quando screaming no in the song. That wasn't true. They had the wrong link. They had a fan-made link. But Durk is on the song ad-libbing talking about no. So it's true, but somebody was sloppy with their job and they left that out of the second version of the superseding indictment. The way that Durk's lawyers are painting it, it's like, oh, you're picking and choosing and you're not including things that you included because they're working out to not be true and then you're dropping them. I don't think that's really what's going on. And they do make a sort of very harsh explanation. I think it is maybe not quite accurate entirely, but you know, I do have agreed with some of the things that have been said here, but like generally I feel like this is slightly a reach. So it says the government should be clear with Mr. Banks and the court about its theory of prosecution. Which iteration of its witnesses' ever-changing stories will it stand behind at trial? Now, as I've just explained to you, I think that they're trying to frame this confidential witness as changing his story more than perhaps he really did. And I want to see their evidence as to why this is contradicted by the objective evidence. What evidence? They're saying, oh, the government's realization that PW1 lied here is likely why. Well, prove that he lied. You haven't proved that he lied, just like the state hasn't proved exactly when Durk put the hit out. So you kind of, it's the pot calling the kettle black a little bit, right? It says, which iteration of its witnesses' ever-changing stories will it stand behind at trial? It says, importantly, the government is not free to simply pick its favorite version. If the government told the grand jury, again, this scenario is completely fictitious, that the coded bounty offer was the Eagle Has Landed, made in a coffee shop in January 2021, and the grand jury indicted Durk based on that theory, the government can't switch it up simply because its witnesses' stories became more convincing over time. I don't think that's what the state are doing. But I think that is honestly, that's like a really convenient way to frame it. Now, later on here, they basically say if an indictment is this vague, it must be dismissed. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. Under case law, when an indictment is as vague as this, it's defective and must be dismissed.
What? But basically,
bro, about man,
make the sum all this shit up. Make a long story short, goddammit. The witness they thought that was gonna be the one. All they needed was, he paid me to do this and do that, was lying and everything.
Yeah,
that's really what they trying to get him for, bro. The murder for hire. That's what they trying to get him for a RICO too, and murder for hire, like with a RICO, but they all over the place.
If you can't prove it, goddamn, if you don't
that's what I'm saying.
See me talking to nobody talking about I'm finna pay you to do this, then you don't got your you don't got your shit lined up. You don't got your ducks in a row, man.
They can't, bro. Ain't no way, bro. That's what I'm saying. But shit, can you get some, can you sue them for this type of shit?
Man, you could try to come back. I think it's called defamation or something, but you don't want to fuck with them folks out there. You go, get up out of there, man. Y'all business, I'm man.
Yeah, shit, he can. Oh, well, yeah, man. He got money though, but shit, you know what I'm saying. But shit, man, that's distress, goddamn it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's pain and suffering, goddamn
it. Definitely.
I could have I'm running away from my kids, goddamn it, all type of shit, gang. Like, it got to be some type of goddamn it.
But now they saying they got cooperation. They just not saying who though. So
right, that's what I'm saying. They not saying who, but they
they got something they going off of. They just ain't revealing what it is.
Shit, man. I mean, shit. You see, blood and them put in. We putting in the motion to get this shit up out of here.
FBI, open up!
Come on up out of there.
This up out of there. We trying to drop this shit, boy.
He gonna definitely find out everything about everything once he. You feel me? This is trial, fam. They gotta come with everything. At the end of the day, they gotta show their hand if it come down to it. Hey, look, man, look. Motherfucker gonna take the stand and testify and say, yeah, that man can't send motherfuckers over there. This woo woo.
It might not even go to that, bro.
That's what I'm saying, if that's what's gonna happen, but that's what they gonna need if they ain't got no evidence or not. They're gonna have to physically have a motherfucker there to go.
The lawyer just put a motherfucking motion in to dismiss this shit.
He be on the way then. Shit, he fucking around.
That's what I'm saying, because
now no capers.
Listen, if he got any type of flaw or anything, you know what I'm saying, and he really wasn't there and he just saying some shit, bro, and he lying, he just saying some shit, bro, they ass smoke, bro. You feel me? Unless it's somebody else, because they kept saying it was this person, this person, but now he's saying it's this person. This is the person that's supposed to smoke his ass. Feel me? So, you know, lawyers could goddamn it get the statements and shit from the motherfucker. Oh boy, I found the flaw. He lying right here. What the bam? Oh boy, they gonna throw that right out. In the door.
They still gotta listen to everything he got to say first before they come to that conclusion. Whatever. What you got to say? All right. Come on with everything. He gotta tell it all still before they come to that conclusion.
Free Durk, man. Free Durk.
Yeah, free Durk, man. You know, motherfuckers.
Free Durk out that motherfucking can, man.
Motherfuckers put in that bitch. And ain't did nothing. He ain't did a nothing. Goddamn it.
Not a thing, man. You feel me? I want to see if he come out like Young Boy though.
Oh.
He come out like Young Boy, man. Get a Young Boy run. Now, would it change the game though? I ain't gonna lie. Young Boy ain't really did shit to a motherfucking like Bono. He just rapping for like He really ain't did nothing to him. It was really them niggas like he don't be, you know what I'm saying? Them niggas type shit.
No,
cause them niggas from Savannah, Georgia, ain't they?
Hell,
Quando Rondo?
Yeah, Quando Rondo.
Or Louisiana.
Yeah, nah, they from Georgia.
Right, okay. So,
yeah,
like, this is what I'm saying, folks. What the fuck the game up is if him and Durk come out and make the mixtape. A motherfucking city. They're gonna fuck the world up. They're gonna overtake over the world.
Nah, for real.
They're gonna overtake over this bitch, Joe. That'll be some game changing shit. That'll be some game changing shit, fool.
I wonder if motherfucker even be thinking like that. Like, you know what, man? I really ain't got nothing going on with dude against dude. He ain't really do nothing to me, man. Fuck it, man. Let's work, man.
At this point, my niggas might think it's a back door.
yeah, you good.
You might think it's a back door at this point. Nah, I ain't
go over there work if you want to. Get that motherfucker. Hey, nah, motherfucker definitely do it. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. Like with this shit. So motherfucker really, you know what I'm saying? Man, look, if Durk touchdown, goddamn it, motherfuckers just gonna be playing music war. That's all. Drop that shit.
They gonna, man, shit. Music, I ain't gonna lie, it might bring this shit back. It might bring music back. I'm trying to listen to all these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm trying to goddamn listen to these. This all
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
They be talking fast, rapping fast as hell, and all type of shit. And talking about
how about on switch to the drinking? Let's put the button.
That's all you gonna hear is switching that. All you gonna hear, you ain't, man. Look, you ain't just all you gonna hear switching Drakey.
What?
And on this bitch, banana out the clip, goddamn it, orangutan, goddamn it, ARP, goddamn it, fully traced. They got it all, boy. We had rusted 38s and got that beat 22 pistols for
22 first gun. About. Yeah, you upgrade to 38. You got the deuce, then you got the upgrade to matter of fact, you got the deuce, then you got to upgrade to the 2.5.
2.5, yes. Deuce to the 2.5.
Goddamn it. Then to the 38.
They had the diligent on your ass. 2 shots. Fuck you talking.
Had that 2-shot dilly. Oh my mother. 2-shot dilly.
This was little as hell. That bitch was tiny as hell back in our day. Boy, fuck you talking about.
No cap.
Sitting here, these niggas got them shit that's bigger than them. Fuck you talking about.
Hey. Knock it, hey. But y'all already know what's going on, man. Urban Talk TV, man. It's your boy DJ Corn.
Got
Ghost Rider, man.
Ghost Rider in this bitch, man. Y'all already know it's Urban Talk, man. You feel me? Appreciate everybody rocking out and shit. You feel me?
If you ain't smash the like button, man. Subscribe. If y'all watching on YouTube, subscribe. Y'all watching on Twitch, subscribe. You know, follow us. You feel me? Y'all don't know what it is, man.
Every platform. Follow us.
Every platform. Urban Talk TV.